Welcome to the Stoic State YouTube channel. Of all the ancient Hellenistic schools of philosophy, Stoicism is undoubtedly the most renowned today. There are countless successful YouTube channels and podcasts dedicated to Stoic philosophy. Many of you may have read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism has inspired books, conferences, and countless individuals who use its principles to excel in their professional lives. However, the popular perception of Stoicism is often superficial, focusing on specific aspects to optimize productivity, wealth, or worldly success. This modern interpretation, often termed Stoicism, portrays Stoics as emotionally distant, devoid of feelings, and driven solely by rational thought. Such a narrow view would likely make many ancient Stoics turn in their graves. To truly understand Stoicism, we must delve deeper into its origins, core philosophical tenets, and potential spiritual implications. Stoicism emerged during ancient Greece's Hellenistic period, becoming one of the most widespread and influential philosophical schools until the rise of Neoplatonism. Founded in Athens, the heart of ancient philosophy, Stoicism's name derives from the Greek term stoa, meaning painted porch. This porch, adjacent to the Athenian agora or marketplace, served as the gathering place for early Stoics to engage with the public. Zeno of Citium, a Cypriot philosopher, is often credited as the founder of Stoicism. Influenced by Cynic philosophy, particularly the teachings of Crates, Zeno established a unique school with significant similarities yet distinct differences. While Zeno laid the foundation, his successors, Cleanthes and particularly Chrysippus, further developed and refined Stoic doctrines. Chrysippus, often hailed as the greatest Stoic, made substantial contributions to logic, physics, and ethics, solidifying Stoicism's intellectual framework. Stoicism flourished alongside other Hellenistic schools, such as skepticism, Platonism, Epicureanism, Cynicism, and Peripateticism. These schools engaged in frequent debates and polemics, particularly with the skeptics, who were considered their intellectual adversaries. To comprehend Stoicism fully, it's essential to recognize the broader philosophical landscape of the time. All these schools, including Stoicism, claim to uphold the legacy of Socrates, albeit with differing interpretations of his teachings. Plato's dialogues, particularly those featuring Socrates, provide valuable insights into the intellectual climate and the philosophical questions that Stoicism sought to address. The academics, of course, revered Socrates as a paramount role model. While the initial academy focused on deciphering Plato's exact doctrines, a significant shift in focus soon occurred. The academics began to interpret the dialogues as primarily challenging the notion of absolute knowledge. Socrates, or Plato, they argued, wasn't presenting a definitive doctrine to be elucidated. Thus, the Platonic Academy evolved into the school of skepticism, whose core philosophical tenet is directly implied by its name: the belief that attaining certainty or true knowledge about anything in the world is unattainable. While some schools or branches of skepticism acknowledge varying degrees of plausibility, the fundamental idea remains the same. The Epicureans, founded by Epicurus, embraced a hedonistic philosophy. They posited that pleasure, albeit tempered, should be the ultimate pursuit in life. A common thread among these philosophies is the concept of ataraxia, often translated as tranquility or peace of mind, though contentment might be a more accurate rendering. To achieve ataraxia and a virtuous life, the Epicureans proposed a simple solution: pleasure. As materialists, they believed that pleasure was the only intrinsic good. However, their hedonism differed from the crude variety. Epicurus advocated a refined lifestyle, where true pleasure stemmed from moderation and the resulting contentment. The academic skeptics offered a contrasting perspective. They argued that since certain knowledge was elusive, humans should suspend judgment about anything. By acknowledging the limits of human understanding, they believed ataraxia could be attained. Aristotle and the Peripatetics, on the other hand, identified the highest good as eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or human flourishing. The Stoics diverged from this view, rejecting the notion that well-being, happiness, health, pleasure, or any external factor constituted the highest good. They asserted that virtue alone was truly valuable and the sole path to contentment. The Stoic philosopher Cleanthes articulated the goal of life as living in accordance with nature. This principle permeates Stoic ethics, but its precise meaning requires further exploration. To fully grasp Stoicism, it's essential to examine its three primary divisions: logic, physics, and ethics. While Stoic ethics has garnered significant attention, the other two components are equally crucial for a comprehensive understanding. Logic, as a foundation for all philosophical inquiry, is a fundamental aspect of Stoic thought. The foundation of philosophy, logic, might seem self-evident to many. However, philosophers view logic as a rigorous discipline, a method for examining the nature of truth and understanding how we can discern what is true. Logic held immense importance for the Stoics, serving as a prerequisite for the other two branches of philosophy. One analogy compares philosophy to an egg. Logic forms the shell, physics the white, and ethics the yolk. While the hierarchy can vary, logic consistently occupies the foundational role. Although I'm not a logician, I can highlight the significance of Stoic logic in the history of philosophy. Chrysippus in particular is credited with developing many influential logical concepts and is often regarded as one of history's greatest logicians. While Aristotelian logic has been more widely used, Stoic logic offers distinct characteristics. Aristotelian logic is categorical, relying on syllogisms like all A are B, all B are C, therefore all A are C. In contrast, Stoic logic is propositional, focusing on the relationships between statements. A classic Stoic proposition is, if it is day, then it is light. Chrysippus introduced a unique perspective on the truth of propositions. He argued that a proposition is true only if the negation of the consequent contradicts the antecedent. For instance, if it is day, then I am a great logician, is considered true by some philosophers, even if the second part is false. However, Chrysippus would disagree, as the negation of the second part doesn't necessarily contradict the first. Chrysippus outlined 5 argument forms, the first being the aforementioned modus ponens. The second form, modus tollens, demonstrates the relationship between the truth of the antecedent and consequent. If it is day, then it is light. It is not light, therefore it is not day. Stoic logic, particularly Chrysippus's contributions, diverges significantly from Aristotelian logic. The Stoics considered logic essential for philosophical inquiry, serving as a starting point for delving into physics and ethics. The Stoic understanding of physics differs markedly from modern physics. It lacks metaphysical concepts like God or a divine creator. Instead, it focuses on a materialist worldview, viewing the universe as a unified, rational system governed by natural laws. Stoicism is a materialist philosophy. This means they believe that everything that exists is physical or material. Even the human soul and God are ultimately physical things. There is no immaterial first cause like Aristotle's immaterial soul or Plato's world of forms. However, the Stoics do posit an active, intelligent principle that governs the universe. The universe, in other words, is divided into 2 aspects, an active and a passive. Matter, sometimes called prime matter, is the passive principle. The active principle is a rational, intelligent force called the logos. This term is often translated as word, similar to its use in the Gospel of John. But the logos encompasses much more than our modern concept of a word. It's a principle of reason that orders things. It's the faculty of human reason, and a universal principle of reason that governs the entire cosmos. In Stoicism, the logos is often identified with God or Zeus. Stoic writings often contain surprisingly devotional passages. For instance, they praise the most glorious of immortals, mighty God, invoked by many a name, O sovereign King of universal nature, piloting this world in harmony with law. This pantheistic God is not separate from nature but permeates all things. It's the active aspect of the world, part of everything. But remember, the Stoics are materialists. So this God is not an immaterial being, but a physical thing. It's often called the pneuma, translated as breath or fiery breath. It's a subtle form of matter, similar to fire or breath, that permeates all things and is identical to nature itself. The Stoics often use these terms interchangeably, God, nature, logos, and pneuma, to refer to the same concept. This monistic or pantheistic idea of God as a unifying principle is evident in the writings of Chrysippus and Alexander of Aphrodisias. This divine principle governs all things and nature is perfectly rational. Everything happens according to the will or providence of this God or logos. This leads to the Stoic idea of determinism, which we'll discuss later.